Hello, welcome back to the channel of Motorbike Nonsense. I'm inside because KTM has just unveiled the new 1390 Super Adventure S Evo. This is the replacement for the old 1290 Super Adventure. I owned one of those for a year and a half. I really liked it, which is why I'm doing this video, to give you the top line news on this new naughty adventure bike. And the top line news is, unsurprisingly, it's got a 1350cc engine, not a 1390. KTM likes doing their numbers wrong. It's got it's got camshaft technology. It's now got 173 horsepower and 145 Newton meters of torque. So it's up about 10 horsepower. On the old 1290, it weighs 228 kilos ready to ride, or if you fill up the 23 litre tank, 245 kilos. So yes, it's basically on par with the GS, I think, in terms of that. It's got updated adaptive cruise control, it's got a new TFT dash, it's got revised semi-active suspension as well. So let's get into the details. Yeah. So let's talk about the looks, because KTMs are usually quite challenging, and I think this is a bit of a munter, but once you ride it, I'm sure you won't really care. But yeah, it's got the new KTM family face. It looks a little bit like the new 1390 Super Duke's face for that outline of the daytime running lights. The silhouette is very similar to the old 1290 Super Adventure. The frame actually looks very similar as well, although it is different, as we'll get onto in a bit. And actually, from side on, it's just the plastics look slightly different. It's still got the ball bag tanks down below to keep the mass of the fuel nice and low. It's really kind of the engine, the electronics that have got the big upgrade here. They just hit it with the ugly stick a bit more. Yeah, that's what's good. In the press release, KTM pulls out the fact it's got a new seat, even though it looks very similar to the old one to me, but apparently there is a new seat on there, a new windscreen as well, which looks like it's got a slot cut out of it to reduce buffeting, so fingers crossed. This is one of the first adventure bikes that doesn't rattle my head like 1,000 skeletons in a biscuit tin, and it's got a new storage compartment, because the old 1290 on the tank had a waterproof storage compartment, but it wasn't very big. It wasn't big enough for a modern phone, you know, for the big iPhones and things like that. But yeah, let's talk about the chassis, because that's also changed. So the actual frame, KTM saying they've reworked the stiffness to improve stability. Now that'll be a good thing, because my old 1290 Super Adventure S with a top box on it waggled like a drunk pub dog as soon as you got above 90 miles an hour. It was genuinely all over the place, so hopefully they've nailed that, because these are fast, powerful bikes, and when you go to Europe, you do want to go fast, and you couldn't really on the old 1290, at least not on my one. You could get to 90 outrageously fast, mostly on the back wheel, and then it would start shaking its head and wobbling all over the place. Changing lanes for you was always entertaining. So fingers crossed that's been fixed for this 1391. The foot pegs are 8mm lower and 10mm wider, and you've got a wider knee angle as well. So they've made it a more relaxed fit on the bike, basically, what it sounds like they've done. They've also done some very complicated sounding stuff to improve the semi-active suspension. Again, I really like this on the 1290. It had a real difference between comfort and sportiness. They say they've got more consistent damping on it with a new through rod fork construction. I don't know what that means, but for me, the big change is they've ditched the old Mitas tyres. I've had a look at the photos and zoomed in. The Mitas tyres, which I changed almost immediately on mine, are gone, and it looks like they're fitting it with Dunlop Trailmax Meridian tyres. I've not ridden them. Are they any good? Tell me down in the comments. Hopefully they're better than the Mitas ones, which were just numb and just never gave me the feeling that you wanted from a really powerful adventure bike that could attack corners. Engine stuff. So yes, as predicted, this hasn't got the full 1390 Super Duke R engine tune, but it has got basically that engine with a few bits tweaked on it. So it's up from 1300-ish to 1350cc. Power is up to 173 horsepower at 9,500 RPM. Torque is 145 Newton meters at 8,000 RPM, and it's got that camshaft technology, which is just designed to give you a broader spread of torque down low and still having a top end rush. And on the 1390 Super Duke that I rode this year, it was monstrous. It was absolutely monstrous. So hopefully some of that DNA has come across into this 1390 Super Adventure S. What won't have come across is any newfound sense of nice noise, because all of these big KTMs have always been a bit banal in the noise department because of emissions regs, and it's not just that interesting sounding a V-twin. frankly. KTM's also using this bike to introduce its new automated manual transmission system. So this is an option, it's not standard fit. You don't have to have an automatic version of this bike, but you can do. And basically you can use the foot lever or paddles to change gear. There's just no clutch lever. So you can take over, or you can put it in a full auto mode. And if you get the automatic version, the radar cruise system, which has been updated on this 1390 Super Adventure, that feeds in to the automatic transmission and can actually bring you all the way down to a stop and pull away again based on information from the radar system. So it's like what they call travel assist in the car world, where when you're in a traffic jam, it will just go along for you. Just be prepared to put your foot down when you come to a stop. Don't forget, because that sounds like something I would do. Right, electronic stuff. You've got a new portrait infotainment screen. I'm not calling it an infotainment screen, but it basically is now. You've got a portrait dashboard. It's 8.8 inches. It's a touch screen, and apparently it works with thick gloves, which you would kind of hope so, because it's on a motorbike. It's got anti-fingerprint, anti-glare coatings on it, and KTM promises it's brighter and better than ever, frankly. I think it looks pretty cool. My slight concern is I don't know how much room is going to be above it for a GPS if you want to mount an aftermarket GPS, because that was always handy. On the 1290 they had a rail above it on the screen. You could easily attach a sat-nav on that. I don't know how easy it will be on this one. Hopefully KTM has thought about that in their clever Austrian ways. Now, I've mentioned the cruise control has been updated, and it has been. It's a smaller unit now, apparently. It's Bosch's 6th generation or something like that. It now has brake assistance, so I think this is going to be a bit like on the Tracer 9 GT Plus that I rode last year, where if you're on the brakes and you're not slowing down quite enough for the car stopped in front of you, it will help you and add a bit of braking pressure, but you've got to be on the brakes first for it to do it. I'm guessing here, but I think that's probably what KTM has done. Lovely jubbly. You've also got new switchgear, which I don't think looks as nice as the old switchgear, but it does look more basic and a bit more simple and a bit more straightforward to use. But yeah, I don't know if it actually looks nicer and more premium. Now, coming to the end of the video, we're talking about premiumness. I don't know the price of this bike yet. And the old 1290 Super Adventure S was about, I think the list was about 17, 18 grand. This, I imagine, is going to be close to 20. Obviously, this is the S Evo model. Evo's new in the name of this bike. That usually means it's got adaptive suspension, which this has. If it's something like the Super Duke, that might be hinting that there's going to be a non-Evo model, which I guess will be more affordable by about 2 grand. So if you want a Super Adventure with maybe non-semi-active suspension, I'm guessing that they'll release a non-S model of this, but I don't know. So no word on prices. It's going to be made in Austria, and it's going to come out in February 2025. Go down to your local KTM dealer if it's still open and still in business. Mine's not. And put deposit down if you want what's probably going to be the naughtiest adventure bike of next year that isn't a Ducati Multistrada V4 RS unobtainium 33 grand nonsense machine for people on Facebook who just post it on Facebook and don't actually ride it. They just show off. Californians mostly. Anyway, thank you for watching this nonsense. I hope you've enjoyed this delightful new slice of orange plastic, which is going to be very exciting to ride, and my pumpkins as well, which my daughter's carved. They're cool. And I'll see you next time for probably some more motorbike news.